Ministries, departments and agencies continue to make case for upward review of 2025 appropriation before National Assembly committees. Federal legislator speaks on the way forward on under-budgeting for national development. Good evening and welcome to NTA Parliamentary News. I am Ene Ojonugba. The National Assembly wants the presidential gas initiatives to do more on adaptability tests on the CNG, having been embraced as an alternative in road transport, just as Works Minister urges improved funding for road infrastructure to enhance economic activities. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali reports on budget defense engagements of Minister of Petroleum Resources, Works, Health and others with relevant committees on their 2025 proposals. The budget defense session between the Joint Committee on Petroleum Resources and the two state ministers was an opportunity to discuss further on the CNG drive aside the 903 million naira capital allotted the ministry, which both sides described as meager.
Of capital 903 million 648,261 naira, zero cover.
What has been given to this ministry, I don't think the mandate of the ministry can be carried out. And we are oversighting.
What is happening to the midstream and downstream gas infrastructure fund, which have been fixed in various banks.
Mr. President has a vision to ensure that the CNG program, gets to the grassroots.
Works Minister David Umahi, while defending the 2025 budget, laid bare the challenges of the ministry to deliver on its mandate of providing road network to link all parts of Nigeria.
The president, who is an economist, who has gone through all the segments of what we're passing through by reason of his experiences, and is making efforts to borrow money to do this project public. And that's what I'm telling the National Assembly, and we are on the same page with National Assembly. We have to borrow money to fix the roads. The roads, when fixed, is a catalyst to
continue as we continue from this our end to think of how we can engage with other revenue profile agencies to get money to see how projects will be delivered to our people.
The 2025 vision for the Ministry of Health, as highlighted by the Minister, Professor Ali Pati, is to collaborate with the private sector to improve local drug manufacturing, but this too, he says, requires huge investments by governments.
We know that as Nigeria's growth continues, as revenue improves, and as the tax reforms kick in and revenues improve, both the federal government and states will have more fiscal space to invest more in health, to provide the relief, the affordability to Nigerians, but also on the supply side.
On its part, the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs informed the lawmakers that lifting more Nigerians above the poverty line is among priority areas in the 2025 fiscal plan of the ministry. Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, the Federal Road Safety Corps and others appeared before the Senate Committee on Federal Character with appeals for a review of the envelope budget system.
To your 2025 presentation.
Drivers doesn't obey the traffic lights. It's only in this country. So virtually we have not done even much. In fact, the fines are going to be increased this year.
Sir, can you please briefly explain to me what the ecological fund covers and the expediency of that fund?
The fund covers erosion projects, degradation, environmental degradation, and then of course, national emergencies.
The Joint Committee on Agricultural Production Services said, in order to meet up with the renewed hope agenda of President Bola Tinubu on food security, attention should be driven towards enhancing quality seedlings, adequate funding of research institutes, using mechanized agriculture to grow hybrid local seedlings to boost food production. National Assembly correspondent Isa Mohammed again has more on other committees' budget defense.
The Joint Committee said, following President Bola Tinubu's declaration of the state of emergency on food security, all hands must be on deck to ensure successes of the campaign in agricultural sector, especially in growing of hybrid local seedlings, collaboration with development partners, soft loans for farmers, and upgrading research institutes to boost food production.
There are concerns with the soaring prices of food and agro-produce across the country, and both the affordability and availability of the food are no longer within the reach of the ordinary Nigerians.
The committee also frowned at attitude of some heads of agencies for not appearing for 2025 budget defense, describing the period as critical time for national assignment. And for the Joint Committee on Police Affairs, the Nigerian police force is focusing on procurement of sophisticated gadgets, welfare, manpower, training and infrastructure at police training institutes to enhance productivity in line with best global technology to combat crime.
Our goal is to ensure that pressing issues are matched with enough resources, even if the challenges are many and seem to all need immediate attention.
I respectfully request the support of the Senate and House committees on police affairs and institutions in the following areas. Advocate for removing the Nigerian police force from the envelope budgetary framework, allowing the force to present accurate funding requirements for effective planning and execution.
From the National Assembly, Isa Muhammad, NTA News.
The economic interventions of President Bola Tinubu have been scored high as the Minister of Finance defends the ministry's 2025 budget of more than 200 billion naira. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali has more on the budget defense session with Minister of Defense, Education, Labor, Housing and other agencies.
The payments to individuals, the loans to students, the CNG buses for workers, and the relatively low interest loans for small-scale business in particular, these are all interventions to ameliorate the situation of the relatively high cost of living, which is coming down.
The Senate Committee on Finance was impressed with the proactive approach of the administration and approved the 2025 proposals of the Finance Ministry.
We did this based on the fact that most of my colleagues commended you. Your integrity was what also added to their conviction that what you presented to us is exactly and meticulously what you want to spend in the Federal Ministry of Finance.
Making provision of shelter to millions of Nigerians a priority as a basic necessity took up most parts of the engagement between the Housing Minister and the Senate Committee. The committee wants the federal government to offset the over 90 billion naira owed contractors.
You domicile the money in the ministry so that you can now continue to pay off the liability and even build more.
You will get more if you spend money on construction of houses in terms of job creation and running the economy.
Defending the ministry's 700 billion naira budget before the Joint House Committee, Education Minister Tunji Alausa explained that the ministry is committed to achieving its priorities despite funding challenge.
This year, you are also presenting a request for 3.8 billion. For computers again? Did you encounter challenge?
What happened was that we had one-of-a-kind meeting with our principals of Unity schools. And one of the questions they raised that We're trying to engage them to build digital literacy to improve efficiency. Their teachers do not even have computer, laptop.
Minister of Labour, Megari Dingyadi, informed the Senate Committee on Labour at the ministry's budget defense that skill acquisition is being upscaled to add to the number of self-employed in Nigeria in 2025.
All our parastatals and agencies are working on this issue of fighting unemployment.
The issue of minimum wage is carried in the appropriation bill, and I think it is commendable. We do pray that even the private agency should look into this. We want to thank Mr. President for his magnanimity.
The Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and the Northeast Development Commission were with the Committee on Special Duties to defend their allocations. Meanwhile, the committee has made a case for the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, to be placed on first-line charge after a meeting with officials from the Budget Office and Office of the Accountant General.
Ensure that these monies are paid as at when due to the agency for them to effectively discharge their responsibilities.
The Bureau for Public Procurement, while at the House of Representatives, appealed for addition to its 3.3 billion naira budget ceiling.
Strategy is to ensure we prevent misuse of funds through IT tools. We have carried out significant procurement audits.
As a committee, we are mindful of the paucity of funds, the ceiling that is being imposed on your agency.
In our interview segments, we'll be discussing under-budgeting, challenges and solutions. In most of the 2025 appropriation, it was observed that they are under-budgeting to MDAs, which most of the legislators described as inadequate. Our correspondents had earlier engaged the Chairman House Committee on Tourism, Mohammed Mukhtar, for more insights. Under-budgeting has been reoccurring in most of the proposals presented before many committees at the National Assembly. What is your take on this?
You cannot say we have under budgetary allocations till you go into the provisions and line items and see what has been provided by those ministries. Although the budget thing, we are still working on the budget defense, and each and every committee in the National Assembly is working assiduously to see that they have their figures are up to their expectations for the 2025 budget.
In your advice, what should be the way out?
No submissions are being made to this by these ministries, and then maybe we have to jack up a little bit the total budgetary provision from that 40-something trillion to maybe a further figure. So I think that is what will, because these figures are cumulative. When you add up the figures, they will give you the same figure that we have in the budgetary provision. So I think maybe we have to increase our budgetary provision as total. So that's my take.
We now go on a short break. The news continues shortly with more budget defense.
Are you looking for a short channel to make your business, goods and services go viral? Look no further, as NTA Parliament is your short channel. Take advantage of our wider reach and advertise your products and services on NTA Parliament DSTV channel 370, GoTV channel 126, StarTimes channel 306, and Free TV channel 706. For more inquiries, contact the marketing department, NTA Parliament, NTA Headquarters Area 11 Garki Abuja, or call these numbers 080-383-40464 or 080-770-78055. NTA Parliament, strengthening Nigeria's democracy.
Thank you for staying with us. The Minister of Housing, Ahmed Musa Dangiwa, has solicited for upward review of the ministry's 2025 appropriation to adequately provide affordable housing for Nigerians in line with renewed hope initiative of the present administration. The minister stated this at his ministry's budget defense with the House Committee on Housing. National Assembly correspondent Isa Mohammed has more.
The Minister of Housing, Ahmed Musa Dangiwa, says upward review of the 2025 budgetary allocation will guarantee the inclusion of federal housing programs such as Renew Hope Estates, Urban Renewal Initiative, payment of liabilities and other challenges of the ministry in attending its mandate of affordable shelters for Nigerians.
Our priority projects in this year, we intended, if we're given the chance to do this, the prioritization is there, but I would like to go to the key challenges that we have. We have outstanding liabilities of 92 billion, and we want to complete this, upscale this renewed hope cities. We have insufficient number of staff, insufficient budget allocation, and insufficient office accommodation. So with these challenges, we pray the House to the ministry that delivers on our mandate to increase the housing, affordable housing to Nigerians. I wish to humbly request the distinguished chairman and members of this very important committee to use their good offices to increase our budget allocation in 7 key areas.
The committee assured Nigerians that it will scrutinize the budgets and allocate funds appropriately to the ministry to provide affordable housing for the citizens.
We will do everything within our powers to see that we take decisive actions to ensure that the right things are done, not only in the ministry, but in the entire housing sector.
From the National Assembly, Isa Muhammad, NTA News.
Activities and projects to further tap from the vast potentials of Nigeria's culture and creative industry would be intensified, including the establishment of a cultural village in the Federal Capital Territory. These came to light during the 2025 budget defense session with the minister, Hannatu Musawa. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali has details of some budget defense engagements at the National Assembly.
The Arts, Culture and Creative Economy Minister emphasized that public-private partnership will increase significantly the revenue and employment generation opportunities in the sector.
There's going to be a partnership, an MOU, that also gives the federal government the necessary stake
to transform our economy, create millions of jobs, and strengthen our global reputation.
Scrutiny of the 11 billion naira 2025 proposal of the Marine and Blue Economy Ministry targeted at improving safety and boosting economy in the marine environments occupied the session with the Minister Boyega Oyetola and the Joint Committee on Marine Transport.
If you want us to be able to unlock the potentials in the economy, there is a need for proper funding. The amount that has been allocated to the ministry will not do much, but we would try to, do whatever that is available within the space of what budget that we have.
We are going to do whatever we have to do and go ahead and defend with the appropriation committee as soon as we are done.
The Joint Senate Committee on Tertiary and Basic Education hosted the two education ministers as they made inquiries on how the ministry intends to expand its allocation, increased by 35% for 2025.
2025 budget is expected to demonstrate a clear vision for addressing the gap identified in the 2024 appropriation, while also introducing an effective strategy to tackle emerging challenges.
We have this ambitious TVET program, Technical Vocational Education and Training, which is a big part of our IPI, which is number one of our 6 high priority areas. So,
At the House of Representatives, Minister of State Finance spoke on bilateral and multilateral ties with international financial institutions.
Because we're representing Nigeria at various fora, it requires us to travel a lot. And due to the exchange rate fluctuation, our travel cost has actually significantly gone up.
25 billion increase in your envelope. My own question will be that where do we pick it from? Where do you expect us to get that money from?
Senate Committee on Power continued the budget defense session with agencies under the ministry as it sought explanation from Rural Electrification Agency on the 588 billion naira proposal, part of which would be used for national solarization projects.
We have been able to secure 50-something billion out of, that's like 25% of your money. And you are expecting that the rest will adequately be paid.
There's a provision of 100 billion for national public sector solarization, a new initiative of the federal government under the leadership of Mr. President, which was designed specifically to reduce cost of governance in Nigeria.
Elsewhere, Senate Committee on Population was unhappy over the absence of credible data as it questions the National Population Commission on why census has not been conducted for the past 19 years.
The ultimate attention, as far as we are concerned, is to have a census. Amen. And we are not going to raise an ours until this census takes place within the jurisdiction of this government by Allah's grace.
I have written to see Mr. President so that I can brief him. Why I need to brief him is that he himself has indicated he wants the census to be conducted with biometrics because of the prevailing situation in the country, security and otherwise.
Management of Nigeria Hydrological Services Agency and the Nigeria Geological Survey Agency were also at the National Assembly to defend their fiscal proposal for 2025.
From its inception, when it was enacted, it was unable to access the takeoff grant. So the agency since then has been lingering and facing financial constraints.
This committee, from what my members said, unanimously, we frown at the amount being provided for the agency.
The investors don't come. It is we that have classified and did the blocking and did the reserve estimate, and we are now calling investors.
That is the size of our news package at this time. Thank you for watching. I am Ene Ojonugba. Have a good evening.